look at us starters, me and you, guys who are here every day, and he can be like, well, wait a minute, I'm here. Why isn't I needed a day. I needed a little
There
bit.
ain't nothing wrong with that.
I needed to make sure I got my time at home. Appreciate you, Mark. Shout out.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna have some days coming up too. Look out for it. Although some of those days will involve me on vacation in Mexico trying to do the show from there. I actually have to make a phone call, make sure the Wi-Fi is going to be good from there. So
it's going to be Lord
stay
of the
tuned
Rings
on
here.
that.
It's going to be Lord of the Rings. I mean, not Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Flies here. We're gonna have fires started in the corner. We're not going to know what to do, Scott.
Can't wait for you guys to host right after winter meetings. Next week's going to be huge, though. We cannot wait for winter meetings coverage. We'll be all over it. Regular shows, of course, and then we'll break in for example, Shohei Ohtani signing. We'll have a special on it if that happens. So let's get right into Shohei, because we do have some reports that are surfacing about teams that are in, teams that are out. Let's charge the damn mound. So Jeff Passan put out a big notes column, and we've got our guy, Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal, joining us a little bit later on. But let's start with what Passan put out there on Ohtani. He said the Rangers, Red Sox, and Mets, who are among the initial group of suitors, have turned their attention to other players. Among those confirmed by Jeff's sources to still be in the bidding for Ohtani: Dodgers, Cubs, Blue Jays, Angels. And then he said the Giants have long been into Ohtani, but he doesn't really know where they stand. It just hasn't been much out there for him to be able to collect. But I'm going to guess that the Giants are still in. I feel like educated guess the Giants are still in because they're like, whatever he's being offered, we'll go higher. Okay. So thoughts on how this is shaking out, the teams that are kind of out of it now and the teams that are still going for it?
I'm a little surprised about the Mets. You think about Stevie Cohen, you think about, how he goes about his business. And I think that would be unbelievable for the Mets to have him there. The Rangers, I guess I can understand that just because of what they did last year. I mean, if they sign back Monty, which I think they should, or try to at least, then I think they're fine there. But it's just one of those things. I think everybody that can get him should go out there and try and get him. So the Mets are that's the one where I'm like, I don't understand that one at all. He would work well in New York. I don't hear anything about the Yankees either. So you know where my bias is. So I want to hear some more. I want to hear some better news on that front, Erik.
I think the Rangers still need to be in. Did you see what he did when he was in Globe Life Park last year? He was hitting those like 470 foot, like 19-degree launch angle rockets to left center. It was unbelievable. Yeah. And I think they're flush with money. I think we'll get into it a little bit more. The whole TV deal might have affected that. But, not losing because they're still going to have a TV deal, but they had freaking $111 million last year come in from their TV deal. So I guess I get it that they're out. And the one that I think is like that the Red Sox are going elsewhere, I think it's fine. They need pitching. Yeah. The Red Sox have Bello started 28 games last year. Cutter Crawford, I think, started 23 games. And then it was Houck and Sale, 21, 20, and 20. You pick up Shohei, all of a sudden you haven't picked up any more starts for next season.
Haven't, no.
So to me, the Red Sox should have been out a long time ago. They wanted to see the flop, use a poker reference, and now they're like, crap. No, we're out. We're folding. They gotta go find actual starts. So the guy you were talking about, I think, Monty, as much as he was a Yankee coming up,
yeah,
I'd like to see him maybe shift a little Beantown.
Yeah.
He's a guy that makes all his starts. He did last year. You're getting a little bit of youth. Anyway, you need somebody that puts up 30 starts. I think Bello will this year, but I think the Red Sox are the team that should have been out a long time ago unless Shohei was pitching.
Agreed.
Well, he's pitching supposedly in 2025, but I get what you're saying. They need pitching for next year. I mean, you could accomplish both technically, Kratz. I mean, the Red Sox have been spending a little more mid-market-ish than they have top of the market, which is a problem for them. So technically they could get both done, but I get what you're saying. I think though, the expectations will be high for them then to really patch up the rotation. I think that's a must for them. I mean, it should involve probably 2 pretty significant pitchers. They should be in on Monty. They should be heavily in on Yamamoto, even though he's going to cost a ton. It's a long-term option for them if they're into him, but then others as well. I mean, Imanaga actually is going to get a ton of money too, and is supposed to be a big deal. It's kind of a low velo guy, but high spin. I think he's going to be maybe projected as a pretty solid number 3 starter, I would say, but a guy that, probably is going to get himself 5 or 6 years, low 100s mil, based on what the starting pitching market looks like right now. A guy that's proven he's gotten it done over in Japan for, I believe, 8 seasons now. So I get what you're saying. Back to Ohtani for a moment here. Do we still feel the same way, Todd Father, about the teams that are still in it? So Dodgers front runner based on what they can offer. And when I say what they can offer, it's consistent winner, probably an environment that he likes, money. Who do you think on that list, if you have them as the front runner, would be second of the teams that the pass and set are still involved? Cubs, Blue Jays, Angels, Giants.
Don't take my team.
I know we talked about this before. I'll let Erik take his team.
No. Wait, I'm going to stop you. Todd, do you know the rule on this show?
You take yours.
Take whatever.
You have to take yours, and even if we all agree on the same thing, it has to be the same. Because the TV pet peeve I have.
This isn't my first rodeo. This isn't my first rodeo.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
I'm saying the next team on that list would be the Cubs. You just see, what's going to happen with Bellinger. I mean, what's going to happen with other guys that are coming in and out. You got a new manager coming in. I think that would be a huge splash for Chicago. It would kind of catapult them to being the team they need to be, even though he can't pitch. It's one of those things where him at Wrigleyville, I mean, dude, the crowd there, day games, the excitement of him just dropping absolute tanks. I think the Cubs would be the second behind. The one that's intriguing to me is the Blue Jays. I mean, you think they haven't really got that big name. They got names from their system, but they haven't really got that big name to come up there to the north. But I would say the Cubs would be next in line.
Blue Jays.
Really?
Blue Jays.
No, you didn't tell me that before.
This is it. The Blue Jays
are
it.
Yeah, you told me Yamamoto. Never mind. No, I don't believe that. I don't think so at all.
The reason is the exact same reason I was talking about the Red Sox. The Red Sox, they don't have any starting pitching. They need it. The Blue Jays, they had 4 guys with 29 or more starts last year.
That's great.
They're going to inject this man into this lineup that has some dudes that dropped off last year, dudes that need a slap in the face to be like, hey, you know what? You're a young guy. You've been an MVP candidate. You need to show up. And this, if they get Shohei Ohtani, that shifts the American League East in their favor because of what they should have done last year. They didn't do it. They should have done it last year. And the thing that they can sell, because there's the whole advertising dollars, it's your country. You are Japan. Now you are Canada. They will sell him all over
I agree with
country.
100%.
And they have so much money that it is.
I just don't see him going. I don't see it.
If the Blue Jays want to win the World Series, this is the move. 100%.
You saying World Series winners?
Yes.
Oof.
And look at their window, guys. Look at their window.
Yes.
I mean, the window.
You're saying going to the
soon.
World Series though with one guy.
One guy, Shohei Ohtani.
What? Not next year.
They become the American League.
I don't think they're. You talk about your pitching, but I still don't think it holds up. In my opinion, they can't. The Orioles right now are the dominant team.
Show up. Okay.
I'm saying
Boston?
they show up. I'm saying
Bassett?
they show up. That's great. Great. What happened last year?
They got bounced in the first round. But
okay,
this team on paper should be way better, and I think they're running out of time. Vladdy Jr. and Bo Bichette are gone after 2025. I think they'll probably keep one of them, but they might lose the other, or they might trade the other. But Gausman, Bassett, Barrios, Kikuchi bounced back. Maybe they add another starter. Obviously, they're waiting to see what happens with
If
Manoah.
they go get, if all of a sudden they do get Ohtani, they got to get, if they keep, this is their, all right, we go get this big dog. They got to keep getting a couple more other guys. And then I would say, all right, then we got something going here.
Okay.
I think Imanaga is the second place for him. I think Boston he's going to be their second pitcher that they pick up if they want to move in. And that's the whole question. Do they want to move in, and do they want to win a World Series, or do they just want to be like, man, I hope. Look what the Rangers did at the trade deadline. They weren't hoping. They moved all in to make it to the World Series. Almost missed it, and then they swept through the playoffs. Like, to me, Shohei makes a huge difference.
Oh, my God, without a doubt.
With that team than any other team.
So you're saying it kind of helps out with Vladdy and Bo kind of, it's like, hey, this is the guy now. Let me just play now. I could see that. But you can say in World Series, I'm like, I don't know. Not yet.
I think they become
a lot of people have picked them to go to the World Series the last 2-3 years, and they have underperformed. And their offense was not consistent enough this past season, despite what they had on paper. And also, the ballpark played much more pitcher-friendly than they expected. It actually looked like the adjustments they made would make it more hitter-friendly, and they became more pitcher-friendly. The ballpark became a more home run suppressed ballpark this past season, and no one has the exact reason why scientifically. The one other thing I'll say about Toronto, Mike Wilner writes about them for the Toronto Star, and I think we're going to have him on next week. I heard him on a show where he said the Blue Jays have two budgets right now. They have their normal offseason budget, and then they have their Ohtani, he calls it unicorn budget, because you have to keep in mind the business that Ohtani could bring to the entire country of Canada and freaking sweep that fan base for the next 5 to 10 years. So we're going to talk to Ken Rosenthal later about the business side of what Ohtani brings to the table. So we're going to hit a break in a sec. Let's look at our poll question. It's revolving around this topic, and we'll talk more about Ohtani, obviously, because who knows? I mean, these could be the final days before he actually signs up with a ball club. Which team out on Ohtani, according to this report that we're referring to, should not be out on Ohtani? Mets, Rangers, Red Sox, or Mariners? We will be right back with Stephen Vogt, new manager of the Cleveland Guardians, on FT Live.
He's my friend.
This can go one of two ways. It can be that way where he's happy-go-lucky, the offseason's great. You know what? I don't need to take that many swings. I feel good, which is fine. Listen, some guys, they do it overboard in the offseason, and they go out there and hit for a couple hours, which I think is crazy. But it could be this. Exciting. I get the offseason there. I roll into spring training, happy as a clam. Go out there and just have fun. That can be it. Or it can go the other way. All right, now I made this money. I got to prove to myself what I'm doing. I need to be here. This hour, I need to do this. If I'm not working out here, what's on my mind? If I'm not doing well, I got to prove to everybody else what I'm doing. No. I hope he does it the first way and has fun and understands he deserves this money. He worked his butt off to get in this situation. He set himself up for life. He set his family up for life. And now guess what? You go out there and play the best game in the world, and you're basically playing the game for fun now because you're already guaranteed that money. Play the game how you used to play it in high school, in Little League, in college, or I don't know if he went to college, whatever it is.
No,
he
he's
didn't.
19. He's
oh, you're right.
He's a baby.
You're right.
Yes.
I got excited.
Play it like you're growing up in your home country.
Play the game
right?
and have fun. Don't put pressure on yourself because the money's already made. That's half the battle. Good for this man. Good for him.
And now back to foul territory. Back on FT Live on Stadium, Braun, Kratz, Todd, Father, and we could have had him on this past year. This is his FT Live debut, but we were like, you know what? We want to bring him on when he's actually a skipper because we figured it was only going to be a matter of minutes, and here he is. Congratulations to Stephen Vogt making his FT Live debut on being the new Cleveland Guardians skipper. Congrats, Voter. How you doing, man? Good to catch up with you.
I'm doing great. It's about time I get on here. Kratz has only been hounding me for over a year.
Nerd alert over here. Look at nerd with his hat on.
I mean, I've been trying to get you on here, but we don't accept bullpen coaches on the show. So unless you can get your Guardians bullpen coach on here, then we'll accept him.
Well, we may have to get BG on here at some point, but no, it's finally nice to get on here with you guys, and it's great to see you all too.
You still
How's
look
life?
handsome, too,
He's all professional now. Look at him over there.
You still
I
look
like
handsome.
I still look handsome. Wow. Hey, just keep tricking them. Just keep tricking them every level up. Let's go. Keep finding a way.
The first thing I have to tell you is don't change. Like you would have never taught oh, it's so nice to be on here finally, and I appreciate this opportunity. Don't change. All right? Don't change.
Don't change me. I haven't changed. I'm the same guy.
I know how to
compartmentalize my attitude and my mindset. Okay, that's what
your attitude is piss poor so far. So you have a little bit of time here to change it. Change it.
So we're right where we need to be. Then we're right where we need to be.
Okay, perfect.
This is what I'm expecting every freaking day in the Guards clubhouse. So I want to start with any conversations that you had with Tito once you found out you had the skipper role.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Tito has been phenomenal for me throughout the interview process, and then right after I got the job, he's said over and over, like, hey, I'm not going to pry, I'm not going to be looking over your shoulder, but just know I'm here as a resource for you. You know, he expressed how much he loves the Guardians organization and the guys in that room, and obviously to have somebody of that stature to have as a mentor and somebody to throw things off of, I couldn't ask for anything more.
So what are you going to bring that Tito didn't bring?
Probably fewer card games, fewer chewing tobacco,
less gum.
Yeah, less gum for sure. Less gum. I'm not going to sit in the Tito stool. That's 100%. I'm not going to be sitting in the stool at the face of the dugout. I'll be pacing a little more probably, but yeah, just gonna bring me as you told me to be, Kratzy. I'm gonna be me, and that's it.
Have you talked to any of the players yet? Have any conversations with anybody with the organization about, what you're trying to do? Is there anything, you have your mind set on as a manager, like this is what I've always wanted to do, like what's the conversations like so far, basically?
Yeah, I've been able to reach probably 8 or 9 players, via phone and texted with everybody now. And really what I wanted to convey to them is like, you guys you weren't looking for a big change. You had an absolute legend step down. So trying to gather information of what's been working for you guys. What do you do really well? What does the clubhouse look like when it's clicking on all cylinders? And how can I come in, help, aid, and improve that? And so that's kind of where I'm at. That's where my mindset's been and my approach. But being able to bring my personality and the way I've always been able to kind of bring people together, and let's pick up where you guys left off and see how good we can get from here.
So you said you contacted 8 or 9 of the players via text or phone. So do you have letters written to the other guys, or what's?
So I can see
you
need to pull the beanie up a little bit and open your ears. I said I connected with 8 or 9 of them over the phone.
Yes.
And then I've texted with all of them.
Exactly. He don't listen.
Please pull it back down, please.
I love that. Hey, let me ask you this. This is a whole whirlwind, to be honest with you. You think about it. You were just a player. Now you have an opportunity to be a manager. Have you sat back and sat with your family dude, listen, I'm going to be a freaking manager right now, dude. I'm jumping from one to the next. You guys ready for this ride,
Yeah, no, it's you hit it on the head. Alyssa and I look at each other about twice a day right now and just start laughing. Because honestly, I've wanted this for a long time, and I've been working towards this for a long time. But you get a call, and I had an unbelievable first year coaching with the Mariners. Scott Service, the rest of the staff, really just embraced me and helped me learn so much. And I'm going to miss those guys a lot. And you get a call saying, hey, the Guardians want to interview for their managing job. What do you think? And I said, well, I'd like to take the interview and get the experience. And so then as you're going through the process, it's like, oh man, I made it through the next level. Alyssa, I think I'm doing pretty good. I think I got a chance at this. And then it just keeps going and keeps going. Then all of a sudden, Chris Antonetti calls me and says, we want to offer you the job. And it was okay. Yeah, let's do this. And it's been a whirlwind, and it's pretty crazy, but I've got so many great people around me that have helped me get my feet wet, get up to speed, and still trying to get up to speed. But it's been a lot of fun.
Alyssa looks at you and laughs at you throughout your entire marriage, so that nothing's changed now that you've been a you've been a big leaguer. But what is the I don't know how to what's the first thing, because when we played together you were hurt and you then came back, but that whole time you had a notebook that you were writing different notes in, different things, like after speeches, after like different events and stuff. Like, what's the first thing that you used out of that notebook to say, you know what, I kind of pushed myself into this job, whether it was going to be with the Giants or whether it was going to be with the Guardians? Because most people don't know you were also interviewing with the Giants, but then your boy Bomel just absolutely undercut you from behind. chop block.
Yeah, chop block. Thanks, Skip. No, I think you're right. And Erik, where it really started was back in 2009 with the Rays in the minor leagues. I hurt my shoulder the first time, and I asked Mitch Lukovics, Jimmy Hoff, and Jim Morrison, my manager at the time, and asked if I could stay in the dugout that year and just learn as much as I could. And that coaching staff poured into me on how to coach and how to push people forward, and started taking notes back then. And then throughout the course of my playing career, being a backup catcher for a majority of it, you have a lot of time to watch baseball and sit back and enjoy what's going on around you. But where I really dove in was that year in 18 with the Brewers, and David Stearns, Matt Arnold, Craig Counsell, Pat Murphy, the rest of the staff, they really helped me develop into what I've become now and continue to develop into. And really, that was the first thing I brought out, was like, I know I only have 1 year of coaching experience, but get a load of this. And here's are some of the things that they allowed me to see, some of the things they allowed me to do. And it really was those 2 years where I was injured, rather than just sitting back. I would do my rehab, obviously, really, really well, and then pour into my baseball knowledge and into my teammates and coaches and staff around me after that.
What experience in your career are you going to draw from the most? Being kind of a non-prospect that put yourself on the map, a two-time All-Star, a freaking my career's over in 2018 shoulder injury, to back to making it back with the Giants and then getting another contract and finishing out your career with the team that you started. Like, what of those experiences you feel like you'll draw from the most?
I think it's the overarching theme of what my career was. And it was the guy who shouldn't go to the next level, the guy who's too old for where he is. He's only doing well because he's older than everybody. And it's what I had to learn and adapt in order to perform at the level I was playing. And I wasn't the most gifted player, but I had the work ethic and I had the drive to go get it. And I feel like whatever role I was given, whatever role I earned, I always tried to go out there to fight and earn more. And so that all of those experiences that you named, being a non-prospect, then getting to the big leagues, then becoming an all-star. Oh, and by the way, getting DFA'd 3 months into the next season after you're a two-time all-star, having to revamp, come back from injury, all of those things. And those are the experiences that I've been through. And there's been a ton of people around me, yourself included, Kratz, helping me through those experiences. And I think that overarching theme is going to always keep me hungry for wanting to learn and develop and never feel like I've got it figured out.
So now that you have the job and every manager position is in place, this was one of the more wild manager carousel situations that we've ever seen. It dominated the first couple weeks of the offseason, which you just usually don't see. And of course, Craig Counsell was a big part of that because he's a guy that's been there in Milwaukee for a while, hits free agency. But now that it's all done, everyone has their jobs. Can you just take us through, from your perspective, what you experienced in terms of combos with other teams, how Craig fit in the mix there, and also just what you thought of how that played out? Because there is a portion of it where he's like, hey, managers need, especially star managers that are in the bigs for a while, need to be up here again, because that's how it was like 20 years ago, and we shouldn't be bringing it down. So what did you think of everything that went down and how you fit into it?
Yeah, obviously it was a wild couple weeks through the interview process, and it was kind of like what the industry's going through right now, right? we're waiting to see where Shohei goes, and then everything goes from there. It was kind of, let's find out what Counsell's going to do, and then the rest of it's going to fall into place. But I couldn't be happier for Craig and what he stood up for and what he did. And, that was, he said he was going to, and he did. And getting to talk with him a little bit through the process was really cool. He chatted with me a couple times and, never told me what he was thinking, but it was really neat just to see the way that the industry evolved and went through that process together. And then it was that crazy Monday where all of a sudden it was like, boom, 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 boom. And it was just a lot of fun to watch, and something that, you're right, we haven't seen that on this side of the ball before. So it was really fun.
Can you believe he went to Chicago? Just flat out honest. We were there. Like, could you believe? It's awesome for him. It's so awesome for him. But as a ex-Brewer, could you believe he went there?
It was a shock. I'll put it that way. And seeing him put on that Cubs uni was a little bit weird. But again, the baseball has changed and it's a different industry. And you know what? I couldn't be more happy for him and his family. And, I'm not looking forward to competing against him. Craig's one of the best, and he was awesome to me. And obviously wish him well, except for the three games we play against him every year.
Yeah. Listen, at the end of the day, he had offered pretty much double of what the Brewers were going to get him. And they said they're calling him out and say that's messed up. That's just a simple yes at the end of the day. No, right or wrong.
Business is business, and that's,
exactly.
I'm a firm believer that business and personal is very separate. And the business side of the game is my least favorite. I've never enjoyed it. I
agree.
I don't like talking about money. I just want to do the baseball. And once that business side's out of the way, now it's time to roll.
All right. So one other business ordeal, and I know this is not up to you, but what do you think of the Guardians offseason? And today, for example, Jeff Passan put out a report that the Guards are listening on Emmanuel Clase, and obviously Bieber could be a trade candidate as well. I know, you're not making those moves. You just joined the squad. I get it. I know all of that, but it's not tampering. They're on your team right now. Can you at least say what those dudes mean to you in terms of what you've seen from them and how it would be nice if you show up to spring training and they're there for you?
Yeah, we can't say enough about Shane Bieber and Emmanuel Clase. You got the guy that's going to take the ball on opening day every 5 days, and then the guy who's the game's over once you get through the 8th inning and you have the lead. So obviously, again, the business side is the business side, and a lot of those things, as you guys know, it's the business side, and you're always listening. And I think every good team's always listening to what's out there. But we have a great group that's going to make the best decision for our organization. And I know that sounds like a cliche answer, but it's the truth. And at the end of the day, as the manager, your job is to go out and get the best out of your 26 guys every night. And with Shane Bieber and Clase as two of those 26, I feel really good about where we're going to be.
Yeah, that's going to make your job way easier too if they're still around. But you said spring training. Spring training is where you kind of made your career. You kind of had your whole Chris Farley bit. You came over, and I'm joking about it, but it's also one of those things that it matters. Are you going to have that kind of stuff in spring training? Do you have that kind of, because you don't know what your roster is going to be? Are you going to have like the tricks and games? Are you going to do some of the stuff that Tito did in spring training with the player of the game, or can you give us an insight on what your shtick is going to be with the boys?
Yeah, no fun, all business. We're going to go play baseball. It's by the book. We're going to, we're going to have a blasted spring. I've been fortunate to play and work for 8 really good managers, and I look at myself as a hybrid of all of them. And so it's taking little pieces from all of them, and we're going to have a blast and doing little games, doing interviews, doing different things that I've learned and seen across the board that really bring people together. We're going to do those kinds of things. I'll never forget, Kratz, you joke about it, but it was 2009. I was a high A 24-year-old, and I won a talent show for the Tampa Bay Rays doing impressions of coaches and coordinators. And Matt Cutraro looked at me. He was my manager the year before in low A, and he looked at me and he said, "You know what?" He goes, "You're a really good player, and you have to earn your way to the big leagues." but you winning this talent show might give you that opportunity. That might get you on the map with this organization because they probably didn't know a whole lot about you up to this point. And turns out he was right. And those little skits, those little gimmicks are part of who I am, and it's part of what got me into this seat. So I'm never going to forget getting to know your players, getting to know the personalities that are around you. That's what matters.
I want to ask you a little trivia question here. Who was the best manager ever to put a suit up for the Cleveland Guardians?
Is it Tito's the winningest, isn't he?
No, we're not. We're thinking of Lou Brown from Major League. I thought you'd be smarter than that.
White,
you know what I mean?
Well, he's on the other line with somebody about some white walls right now. So.
No, I thought that'd be a good laugh after the Farley
you
thing,
teed
man.
me up, and I swung and missed. I did that quite.
It's okay. You were going with a serious answer. Normally you would have gotten that one, but hey, you know what? You're getting into your role. You're getting into your new gray beard.
Let's
talk in a year and see how gray we really are.
He can't even grow it, man. I don't even know why he's talking smack.
That's what I wanted to ask. So, Voter, we're gonna screenshot this right when we have you on like the single where it's all you, and then we'll do a right now, and then we can check in at different points of the season and see how you look, because it is real. There are young, handsome managers that enter the role for the first time, and then you see them, especially if they're going through it, and you're like, what's going on? And I think a lot of it has to do with just lack of sleep and maybe high stress. So is there a skincare routine or a wellness program that you can do to prevent the aging process that occurs with the major league manager role?
Well, I don't know. I'll have to look into it, but I'm hoping I hope I don't look swollen and get the coach's body too soon into the manager role. But maybe a nice moisturizer, maybe some lotion right before bed, things like that. But I'm gonna do my best, and we'll see what happens.
We just had Suitor B on. We just had Suitor B on the show, and he confirmed, and Aaron confirmed it. He'll do the body issue. So if Suitor B does it, I think you need to do it. The two baseball. Yeah. Come on.
There's a lot of things that the baseball world and sports world in general needs to see, and my naked body is very low on that list.
We need it. We need it. Todd, I brought this up to Todd before the show. Actually, no, I didn't. But Todd definitely is in on this.
What?
Todd wants to see.
Yes. Yes. Yelich did it, so we can all do it. Okay, it's for the good of the game.
Yelich and I have a little different bodies. I don't know if you guys remember seeing us in uniform, but
yeah, he doesn't have a beard.
Yeah, and the camera doesn't add 20 pounds to him, just to me. So we're good.
Hey, back to biz. So, what do you think of the Guardians 2023 season in terms of strategy and approach that you'd like to see change in 2024? I'll bring up an example. The team is so good at developing pitching. I mean, they are, I've called them like the Rays of the Midwest now, right? Pitcher goes there and he turns into gold, or really they just draft and develop super well. That's great. They did not hit enough home runs, period. I think anyone would be clear about that. So obviously there's going to be some offseason changes in terms of the roster, but is there anything big picture that you can look at to be like, hey guys, we need to be a little more power heavy? Obviously the organization looks at contact as a big deal too. We all do, but how can you find that blend? We have Andres Jimenez on the show all the time too. And I mean, same thing with him. He brought it up. He's like, yeah, we got to hit more homers.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, how do you hit more homers? That's kind of the age-old question. And I think when I look at that and just as I'm getting up to speed on the inner workings from last year, and that was it. There's a couple things that really stood out. It's we need to drive the baseball more and also get better with runners in scoring position. And I think those are two of the things that I think the team last year took a step back on. And obviously we're working on that. But to me, it's where power really comes from is understanding which pitches to take a chance on. And a lot of times when you're contact oriented, you're just looking to put the ball in play, and it's understanding and recognizing which pitches, there it is out of the hand, go for it. And we have a really young team on top of that. And so I think as that time develops and working on at the lower levels, even coming up, because as the Guardians, we're going to use our system, which is awesome. They're going to use our minor leaguers. And we have a lot of young homegrown talent on the team right now. And so it's just really helping them tie into, okay, this is the type of pitch that I need to take a shot on. This is the type of situation where I need to go for it. And having that contact profile, yes, that's super awesome and really important. But also, there's times to take a chance. You get into that good count and you see a pitch, go for it and see what happens.
Last question from me. Have you thought about that first speech that you're going to say as a manager going into spring training? I mean, I've had managers that talk for about 45 minutes. I've had one where it was basically 4 minutes, boom, out the door, let's go. And you're sitting there like, all right, well, here we go. Like, have you thought about it yet? And you know what your approach is going to be? Or, you're going to have a skit? Have you thought about anything along those lines?
Yeah, well, thankfully, part of the interview process was I had to give a mock spring training speech to the 2024 Guardians. So I already have a dress rehearsal done. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So to me, it's brevity is key, because we all know when the manager gets up and talks, there's 25% that aren't listening to a word you're saying. There's 25% that are, and the other 50, you lose them after about 2 minutes. So you got to keep it brief. You got to get to the point, and short and sweet with a little humor in there, but a little motivation, and tell them what I'm thinking about the year outlook. And again, we've all heard plenty of them. We've heard really good ones. We've heard some not so good ones, but try and take bits and pieces from that and make it my own. And here we go. Let's go have some fun and get to the baseball.
All right, I know this is going to be crazy, but I have kind of a serious question for you. The first one's not serious. see if we can pull up the picture of you at the other sporting event that you have. You're getting everybody juiced up. The Cavs, like you're a Cavs fan now.
I'm a Cleveland sports supporter.
Is that what you are?
There you go.
Okay.
Hey, you get invited to go to a Cleveland. Who doesn't want to go to an NBA game? I mean, you get to go watch Donovan Mitchell and Trae Young. Like, I love sports, and basketball is probably my favorite sport besides baseball. And getting to go to that game was so cool. And I didn't have a dog in the fight, so in that instance, I'm definitely rooting for the Cavs. So 100% that they're now my B team in the NBA, and I'm all in. I'm all in. Let's see what we can do.
Okay. So who's your A team?
Golden State Warriors.
Okay. So that's where I'm transitioning to my serious question. How do you feel about Oakland leaving Oakland? You are a guy, like when people go and talk about Oakland, they're like the first chant that comes to everybody's mind, unless you never saw a game there or never played against you, I believe in Stephen Vogt. I believe in Stephen. Like you are a guy there. You will always be an Oakland icon for those fans.
Yeah. I'm sad. I'm obviously sad. I mean, we all know Oakland. We all know the A's. We all know the Coliseum. And it's like, there's a company that sells apparel. It's called the Last Dive Bar. And it's like the Coliseum's the last dive bar in the MLB. It's the most beautiful, awesome place in its own right. And the fact that there's not going to be Major League Baseball in Oakland moving forward is really sad. And, again, business is business, and I don't want to get into that aspect of it, but I want to focus on the fans, and I want to focus on the people who've been working in Oakland for years and years and years. And it's just a sad situation. We may look up a few years from now and we're going to love that the A's are in Las Vegas, but that doesn't mean we're not going to be sad about the fact that they're not in Oakland anymore. And it's really sad to think that after next year, there may not be another Major League Baseball game in the Oakland Coliseum. And you guys know when you hear the drums going and the horns and the fans are going crazy, and whether there was 5,000 of them or 55,000 of them, they're engaged in every single pitch, and they love their team. Whether we won 100 games or we lost 100 games, those fans are out there to support the team. And just the thought of no Major League Baseball in Oakland, it's really, really sad to me.
So here's the deal, Kratz. I have a plan where Voter crushes it. Next contract, he's on the council deal, and eventually he builds up enough wealth that he is in on a group that brings Oakland back in like 2030 to have a franchise, something like that. Right?
Voter.
I feel like that's realistic.
Hey, I just
Could be a
like
hero.
the amount of money. I just like the amount of money you gave me by 2030. That's only like 6 years away.
We're in the biz of we're pro labor here, so you're a worker, baby.
Two World Series, 2
Mhm.
Manager of the Year awards for Vogt, 2030. Dunsky.
Boom.
And I'm gonna need you to take me out to dinner when that
Take
happens.
me to lunch.
Oh man, I like that. I like the sound of the 2 World Series. That's for sure. That sounds
Hell
beautiful
yeah.
to me.
Hell yeah. All right. So last one from me. Once you get the job, did you say to the very talented executives that were interviewing you, Chernoff and Antonetti, thank you. Can't wait to work together. It's my fucking lineup card.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. No, they're such great people, and we've already gotten to work together really well. And I can't wait to write a lineup. I told them, I'm like, hey, I used to write the lineups for my middle school baseball team, so I have experience writing lineup cards.
Exactly.
So nothing you need to worry about. We're ready to go.
Perfect. Well, can't wait to see you in spring training, dude. Thanks for making your FT Live debut once you actually got the manager gig. Super legit. Congratulations.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I've been trying to come on sooner, but I like to say they threw me in the deep end with my hands tied behind my back, and I've been trying to figure out how to swim out, and finally felt like I got to the surface and we had some time to come on with you guys. So
you got his swimmies, Kratz.
Let's go,
he doesn't need swimmies. This man's a stud. I expect to see you on here a couple more times too, kid.
Hell yeah.
Same
Anytime.
here. Great to catch up with you guys. It was awesome.
Thanks, Stephen. Have a good offseason, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Right. Sounds good.
We'll be right back with poll results.
I walked in and I see signs everywhere for his tournament. And I actually saw him when I got here about an hour ago. He was grinding on the putting green, man. So he's what's in it to win it. I don't know if he can beat like Smoltz and Punto and Kyle Loesch and some of those guys, but the host is here and he's going to talk about his golf tournament.
What's up, Whit?
Yeah. It's been a really good 2 days. A lot of guys got in yesterday, had a practice round. We were just talking on the range. We're the first group off, and we go off in about 30, 45 minutes. And most of these guys have been out here already for 30, 45, an hour, hitting balls. And we're saying, if this thing continues to grow like we think, they're going to have to invest in some new range balls because baseball players, they love to hit balls in the range. And guys have been out here for a long time. So excited about the weather we got. The Ritz has been amazing. The course is in great shape. We got some grandstands up for the PNC, and it'll be a fun couple of days.
Can you give us the lowdown of who the favorites are and who was maybe talking shit yesterday at the opening event?
Well, side action is encouraged, and so I've got some side action with a lot of my former teammates, mainly Jordan Romano, Ernie Clement. That's been the main majority of the shit talking. I'm still kind of getting to know these other guys on a good enough level to where we can talk shit. But Smoltzy is he's going to the final round of Champions Q School next week, so I'm sure his game is in great shape. I'm playing with him this morning, so excited to see where his game's at. I think we've got like 8 or 9 plus handicaps in the field between Smoltz, Clippard, Kyle Loesch, Gagne, Will Myers is a plus, Nick Punto, Russ Ortiz. Like, we got some really good golfers here. So,
And now back to foul territory.
Two.
Hey people, FT Live on Stadium is back and presented by BetMGM with the bonus code FOUL available for you when you download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android or visit BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into your new BetMGM account. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your bet loses. And if that happens, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled on the BetMGM Sportsbook app. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, so poll results, and to finish up Ohtani combo from today, which team that is reportedly out on Ohtani, according to Jeff Passan's recent report here, should not be out? And the options were Mets, Rangers, Red Sox, and Mariners. And the winner is Mets. 1, Rangers 2. I'm surprised that Mariners were 4. I vote Mariners 1. And I usually get my pick in sooner, but I'm going to do it now.
West Coast bias, he's got that.
It's not West Coast bias. It's a team that's been waiting for this moment. I'm so pissed off for Mariners fans that they're not in on him. I can't believe that they're not getting their love.
That's what Jerry Bear does, man.
It's not even just Jerry, though. But I agree. He likes to trade. But he's being told by his bosses, no, we're not spending money like that. Sorry, dude.
Well, I'm telling you this right now. Yamamoto is the guy you want. I'm not saying
over Ohtani?
After Ohtani.
Oh, yeah.
I think guys are like, you know what? This might be way too much money. Yamamoto is unbelievable. Like, this guy is for real. He's for real, dude.
Yeah, but they need lineup help. The Mariners need lineup.
The Mariners have tons of
pitching.
They don't need Yamamoto.
I want Yamamoto.
Oh, you just mean in general.
In general.
I understand in general, but Top Father, the Mariners they're the only team in the big leagues that doesn't need a starting pitcher entering the offseason.
Everybody needs pitching. Even if you have it, you need it. You see the injuries that happened these last couple of years. You see the big dogs go down,
and they still,
every team. But the Mariners, the Mariners have 3 fucking bats. 3 bats.
I like when he gets snippy.
They have J.P. Crawford, Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh, and then you look down and you go, "We're not making the playoffs." I mean, they've tanked for 6 years to get to this point. They better add some serious bats. I know they're going to make trades.
But the thing is, even if you get Ohtani, you need more.
Oof, that changes.
Yeah, but
changes. Oof. That's your word of the day. Changes. Blue Jays will not be World Series bound at all with them. They need more than that. And I'm telling you right now, they're going to need more.
That's fine. But the Mariners, because Scott and I guess because we work together every day.
Yes.
The Mariners were second on my list for needing Ohtani, but also, like, obviously a lot of people need them. But how much it would change
every team,
the landscape. It could possibly make, which we'll talk about more, spending with the Rangers. It could possibly make the Rangers be like, okay. Like, they were kind of scary last year. They almost knocked us out in the last series of the season. They didn't, and we won the World Series. But, man, they had Shohei. We got to see Shohei 13 times a year.
Who is going to have the cojones to sign this man? I'm so intrigued because you're right. It does change the outskip of every team.
You don't need cojones.
No, you need a lot of cojones with the money.
You need this. You need this. Yep. And so here's what I want to do.
Yeah, you got to have cojones to spend all that money too.
No.
Here's what I want to do. So in hour number 2, we're going to talk to Ken Rosenthal about Ohtani and also A.J. Hinch at the top of the hour for hour number 2. But we'll have a few minutes when we come back. Think right now. You got about a minute and a half. Think about the number Ohtani's going to end up with, because we'll finish up that report on what Passan said he's hearing. Okay? That's next.
$1 billion.
He came over in 2017, and the pitching coach at the time,
was it Rothschild?
Thank you, was slider heavy. It was like, hey, if you get 2-0, throw this guy a slider. Meetings, it's like, hey, we gotta bust this guy up and in, and slider's always in play. Big Papi, slider's always in play. Like, it's like crazy stuff. Not in 2017, he wasn't there. I was just thinking of players that we played against. And Sonny comes in, and he was with Oakland. So he was literally a guy that would sit there and go, all right, sinker. He's like, I feel like a cutter here in mid-pitch. So the catchers are back there like, chasing balls everywhere. John Jaso hated his life. Stephen Vogt would talk about it all the time. He's like, dude, he's so athletic, but he's like kind of scatterbrained. And took that completely away from him. He'd give up a hit on, making like a field pitch. Like, I think a cutter's best pitch here. If it wasn't a slider, Larry was all over him. And that affected him more than the media affected him. They made him throw more. He's like, I don't throw that many curveballs and sliders. He's like, I'm a sinker cutter guy. He's like, if I need it, I'll throw 100 curveballs. But he said, if you tell me I have to do it, like he was just spilling his guts to me in the bullpen. I'll never forget it. In the playoffs, we were playing Cleveland. He's in the bullpen sitting next to me, and he's like, man, this is really tough, bro. He goes, I just want to pitch the way I can pitch, and he's not letting me. So I wouldn't say it was the big media. So,
And now, back to foul territory.
What's up? We're back. We got a few minutes, and then we'll talk to Detroit Tigers manager A.J Hinch and Ken Rosenthal coming up later when we get to the Foul Territory YouTube channel version of this show for hour number 2. So let's finish with the Ohtani money portion of the conversation. So on Jeff Passan's story about Ohtani, he said it's barreling toward the finish line, and when he finally agrees to a deal, the number sources said will surge well beyond $500 million. Remember how many people were like, oh, is he going to get 5? I got 4, whatever, okay? One source said he believes Ohtani will receive a contract for at least $550. Another said the bidding could reach $600 million. Regardless of whether it lands, it's going to shatter the largest guarantee in North American sports history. So I asked some people in the YouTube chat to float out numbers. I'll get some from you. Just an option said 13,670 mil. Justin Yamas said 11 years, 525 mil for an average of 48 million a season, no opt-outs, and a no trade clause. Armin said 12 years, $620 million. D-Rod said 11 years, $470 million. And before you guys answer, I know I don't refer to a show like this very often, but I'd just like to remind everyone that I think it was a month and a half ago, Brian Kenny on his program on the League Network said $255 million.
Brian.
As much as the 670
getting ready for boxing.
255. Are we kidding? Like, tell me you work for the league without telling me you work for the league.
That's funny.
Like, he's being hostage.
255 is the number. That's all it should be.
I just don't see how you can overpay for a player who is the greatest player we will ever see in our generation. But here's a number that they told me to say.
He's just one player. Save the rest for me.
Oh, my God. You guys are crazy. This Friday is awesome.
So what do you got?
Oh, so I'm going foist?
I want to hear your number because I wrote mine down, but I didn't know I needed to put the years. So go ahead.
I'm going to go. And how old is he again? I
believe he's 29, but I will fact check that for you.
I am going to go 11 years, 555.
He's 29. 11 years, 555. Nice.
555. My math is right. That's 55 a year, right? Or am I wrong on that?
No. 10 years, 555 would be about.
All right, then I take 10 years. I'm sorry. 10 years, 555 is the number for me.
Okay.
And he will be playing with the Kansas City. No, sorry. No, I think he's going to. Man, I want him to play there so bad. I'm going to go with the Rangers. Go ahead. Next.
I don't know what team he's going to go with because it's either Dodgers or Blue Jays. But the Dodgers is the easy money. They're probably not even plus money to sign him right now. It's probably negative money to sign him. But I got 572.
Where you would go over me? Good for you.
572 at the beginning of the season this year. I said 520, and I apologize for shooting so low.
10 years, $600 million. Wait, with an opt-out after year 3. because that puts a team like San Francisco in play if he goes there and either A, doesn't like it, or B, doesn't feel like he's getting consistent winning. Because the one thing I think he will try and do, regardless of any situation, maybe the Dodgers are the only team that can pull this off because they're in the playoffs every year. He has serious PTSD from not being in the playoffs. He does. He wants to win. And if he's on a team where suddenly something happens, they're not going in the direction that he wants them to go, and they're not winning enough, he does not want to waste away all the prime years that he has.
Neither does Mike Trout, though.
I would cut that. It happened, and he was happy there. I would cut that opt-out from 3 years to 2 years. He gets 1 year of an opportunity to start pitching, reestablish his value. 3 years, now all of a sudden he's 33. So that's where I would be. He's going to have a tough time finding $55 million for the next 7. So little high. It's 572 is the answer. I talked to Shohei.
555 is the answer.
Definitely higher than 255. Be right back on FT YouTube channel.
Mama needs a new pair of shoes.
So I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's up? Hour 2. FT Live. Yeah, we're feisty today. It's Friday. It's Frazier Friday. Kratz and Top Father together. Hour 1 already featured new Guardians manager Stephen Vogt, and we did everything we could on Shohei Ohtani in that first hour, okay? This is the decision. This is like LeBron from years back. Dude in his prime, best player in the sport, leaving to go to a different team. This is everything right now. So if you think we're covering it too much, you're wrong. Because the people are speaking. Whenever we post something on Ohtani, we get 1 billion comments and tons of views everywhere. So we got plenty of other players to talk about, but Ohtani
I want
is
people to
him.
I want people to bring up what we're covering that's wrong about it. If you think it's wrong, I want to know what people are thinking, because too many times, if you always listen to the same show, you get the same like, oh well, this is this and that is that. So here it is. Like, we do our research. I want to know what we're missing, because I want to know what, the fans in, I love when fans call me out for, well, you're an idiot because you said this lineup stinks. They've been doing this. Or I got called out earlier in the year because I said
I love that.
the Cardinals pitching staff stunk. And they were like, well, this is what they're doing. And I'm like, this was like April. I was like, okay, like I'll look into it. And I looked into it, and well,
they stunk.
Wrong, but they were not good.
I love when they call you out.
But I like that. I want to be called out. So let us know if we're saying something wrong with Shohei. If we're like, hey, you know what? You forgot about us. You forgot about the Cardinals going in on Shohei. Yeah, right. They might not even buy a Shohei jersey.
Those jerseys, I can't. Oh man, I want to buy his jersey.
You're gonna get a Shohei jersey?
I think I should.
That might be the one jersey of another man that I might wear.
I agree, dude. The guy that won the Pong tournament was rocking a Japanese Shohei jersey. It was
like
that's
the lettering
cool.
Was...
all black. The all black one they wore.
Oh, the samurai one.
Yes.
I got a samurai BP.
The guy didn't miss either. He
was that the guy that won?
Yeah, he snuck in there. Son of a biscuit.
What?
Yeah, he snuck in.
You can't vet guys.
No,
Check Pong Pro.
I got it. Yeah.
.com?
Well,
Oh, by the
year,
way,
we'll
Todd
change it
Father,
up.
because A.J. Hinch is about to join us. A message from Amir Garrett. He missed you in Vegas, and he said your nickname is
Biscuit.
Biscuit.
Yeah. I
He
got a
said,
lot of
"Tell
names.
Biscuit I miss you, boo." He's like, "I thought you were going to be out here."
Yeah, no,
But-
that's my guy.
We told him
I love
about your
him.
letter from UConn.
Yeah, he was probably pissed because he's a St. John's guy.
No, he was pissed because he said you suck at
He's
basketball.
like,
Yeah,
who's he balling against? He's
Yeah,
like, who's
he's
Tom's
never
River
seen-
really
he's never
playing in
seen
high
me
school?
play.
He said Tom's River ain't playing nobody.
Shit, J.R. Smith back in the day, baby.
Oh,
Oh,
Come
hey,
get some. Hey, I
let's
would
go.
have. Yo, next time Amir's on there, he knows I would have locked his ass up.
let's
Amir's
Lanky
really
ass.
good.
record
I would have stepped in,
Yeah,
taken the
someone
charge,
clip
and
this.
looked at him like this.
clip it.
Come on,
Clip
Amir.
this.
Come get some.
Spring training. Amir
Biscuit.
Garrett, 'cause also Will Benson wants in on this in spring training too. Those two were talking at the party saying, "Yo, I'm better. No, I'm better." Anyway, we
Next
got to get
time
to
we
our
talk
guest.
to Votto, you tell him. Go ahead. I'm not.
A.J. Hinch, manager of the Detroit Tigers, catching us in a great time right now. How you doing,
Yeah.
man? You getting ready for
Hey.
winter meetings?
Can I drop an Amir Garrett story for you right out of the chute?
Please.
Yes,
Yeah.
please do.
So when he was with the Royals, I have Javi on my team, and Todd will remember a
Oh,
ton
yeah.
about that. And I'm saying everybody with both teams are like looking to see if there's going to be this matchup, and we got to the on deck circle a couple different times, and so the talking was going and the emotions were flowing or whatever. And then I found myself with Amir in the game and Javi in the hole, standing right next to me on the steps. And the chirping started, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I got way too much respect for Amir Garrett. If he runs over here, I have no chance whatsoever. And it never happened. They never got to face each other. And then the next day, I go out early, sit on the bench, and it's family day, and watching Amir with his kid run around the bases, man. It's just amazing to watch these guys as people and then watch these guys as competitors. And I don't think either guy really has any total animosity against one another, but the Garrett bias thing almost came to fruition again.
Yo, listen,
Nice.
and those kind of things you think about, like the fights back in the day and all that stuff. People don't. Baseball players, what people don't understand, we don't forget a damn thing. I remember I got hit in like a B matchup, way back when Aroldis Chapman first came. And I always said, and he's one of my best friends. I saw him the other day, and I always told him, I said, I'm going to get your ass back. And lo and behold, like 8 years later, I finally got his ass. And like after the game, I texted him. I said, I finally got your back. And we were, you don't forget that shit. My question to you. You put that tree up by yourself in the back there? Did you get a little help?
Let me tell you something. That was planted, like my little Zoom area. Like I got some Christmas spirit. My wife and 2 daughters were here for Thanksgiving and put the tree up. So I didn't touch it. I have nothing to do with it, but I will rock it right behind me on a Zoom so everybody can feel a little better about themselves.
My wife won't let me touch. The last 5 times I've done it, I've broken some ornaments, and now it's like I hand them to her, and she's like, "Don't put them on the damn tree anymore." I said, "Okay, fine, do what you want to do."
Come on.
Hey, so my kids, I've been around long enough now. My kids, I've college-age daughters, and we've got ornaments from every team that I played for, every team that I've managed, and they're very conflicted on where they go on the tree. Like, do we put all the old school ones in the back? The one I got fired at a couple places. Those they still go on the tree, but they got to go in the very back. Detroit's right in the front center now. But as a manager, man, you got to stay present with who's loving you right now, because you never know how long it's going to last.
Yeah,
Exactly.
hell yeah. All right,
Facts.
It's about the Tigers right now. Okay, so you got 2 gifts so far this offseason, right? Big league, trade, and signing. Maeda, Mark Canha, thoughts on those 2? Have you spoken to them? And what's next?
Yep. Yeah, both of them are big additions for us for a couple of reasons. One, we have a very young team. And being young doesn't mean being bad. I think Arizona showed that young youthfulness can get through to the finish line, give yourself a bite at the apple, and all of a sudden they found themselves in the World Series. So I think being young is pretty exciting in Detroit with some of the young hitters that we have, our young pitching getting healthy. We needed to add some veteran presence there. So it started with Canha, who's been a real nuisance when you're against him in so many ways. In his years in Oakland, I got to see it up close and personal in the AL West. Obviously, it continues on, and as he ages, he becomes even a better hitter. Maybe the power's a little zapped, or maybe he's not, going to play 150-plus games, but The at-bat quality is legit. And then just last week with Maeda, he was nasty from coming off the injury, going through the end of the season, and we have a really young rotation. We have some innings questions going into next season, but he still misses bats. He knows how to pitch. We have a couple guys on our team that have some history with him back to his Dodger days. I actually drove him around when I was in Houston. When he was coming over to sign from Japan, I spent a day with him. And he's just a legit dude who can adapt to the style of pitching that he needs to. Big ballpark, good outfield defense. He still misses bats when he doesn't give up fly balls. It's like a perfect match for us.
Who makes a bigger positive impact on the guys around him? Mark Canha, with his ability to get on base and show your younger hitters like Torkelson and Carpenter and Riley Green how to be impact bats, or is it Kenta Maeda who is going to be able to speak into a Casey Mize coming back from injury and a Tarek Skubal building on what he's already done? So which of those two guys do you see making a bigger impact?
Yeah, I would say Canha's presence is going to be enormous for Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, Kerry Carpenter. I love everybody, but I think the everyday component of that impact is huge for the hitters. And 2 years ago, we had Robbie Grossman as sort of a veteran guy. Obviously, Javi and Miggy are huge presence in the back corner of the room, but they're not the most vocal guys, and they're sort of regal. Those guys have an aura around them, even though they try to just be one of the guys. So I think Canha's approach will help Colt Keith get to the big leagues. It will help Malloy when he gets to the big leagues. Matt Vierling is starting to emerge as a pretty good leader. We have some guys that are gelling, like a little bit of old school red ass that I heard Canha has, and just watching him conduct at bats, that's a lot of at bats that he can impact.
Now, just a simple question here. You got these two. What's next? Is there going to be another move for you guys coming up here, or there's a move that you think is much needed moving forward here to get this Ranger team not only to be in second place, but get that lead a little closer to the division?
Yeah, so one of the things that was cool last year is we won every season series against our division. So that was important to me. We hadn't played great in the division my first 2 years here, and now we start beating up on our own division. You can actually make an impact to potentially win it. But I love Scott Harris came out after the Maeda signing and said he keeps looking for pitching, and that's probably where I think the attention's going to be. One of the things we're really trying to stay disciplined to is giving some at bats to young hitters, and we're trying to produce dudes. We're not trying to produce just platoon guys that can't handle same side pitching. So if we're going to do that, like Parker Meadows and Colt Keith and Malloy, like I talked about, Riley's going to play every day. I did pinch hitting for him last year against Aroldis Chapman, and he thanked me, by the way. I love that. But we need these guys to play, and we can't block them unless we just got an offer we can't refuse to try to add somebody. So the pitching side, we still have some room to create some competition by squeezing in another starter. Maybe there's another reliever. There's always another reliever. Every team always adds a reliever. But Scott said that publicly after we signed Maeda, and I think that's going to be true.
Kratz, you there? No, maybe we lost him for a sec. All right, then I'll go.
Kratz doesn't want to talk to me. I've been trying to hire him for years. He won't come on board, so he doesn't want to talk.
I think we lost him for a sec. Kratz? Yeah, we lost him. All right, I'll take over for a sec. That's amazing. I need to get Kratz's response to that because he's getting heavy calls, and we've been holding him tight because we pay the big bucks here
That's
on
right.
XT Live. So, AJ, I have you guys as, and I mean this as a compliment, like the Reds from this past season and these guys, when they come back, will be able to vouch for me. I was like, the Reds are being severely underrated last year, and they ended up coming short of the postseason. And I can make the case if they got some pitching at the deadline, they probably would have put themselves over the top. They were only, I think, a couple games away. So I think you guys are like that team this year that's not getting a ton of looks. But in addition to all of the young talent that's going to take another step, and like you said, probably some more pitching coming along the way, I look at the division and I'm like, AL Central can be taken. You don't need to rebuild for a billion years. And also, fortunately or unfortunately, fortunately for you, teams are taking a step back. You know, like Minnesota, for example, has said publicly, we have to cut payroll this year. The Guardians are going to stay like in a low range in terms of what they can spend. The Royals and White Sox are still not there. Do you look at the division and say, if we don't win the division this year, it's a disappointment?
Well, I always think that because I want to win. And I came here to win, and we have slowly, methodically gotten better. One thing I've said very consistently in Detroit during the season is you have to earn the right to talk that way. So you have to play better. We have not had a great Aprils in my 3 years here. We're going to focus on that a ton. We've played great from May 15th to the end of the year, and we have winning records, and that's cool and all, but you got to get above 500 before you start popping off about wanting to do certain things. Do I think there's opportunity? Absolutely. Do I think anybody in a series wants to come in and face Tarek Skubal? No, they don't. Regular season or postseason. So, but you have to do better and play better more consistently and see some emerging players become bona fide big leaguers if you want to start talking that way. We have a path to a win every day. Our bullpen's been nasty the last couple of seasons with a couple of different combinations to get to the finish line. But we've got to do more work before we start talking too aggressively. But we're going to show up every day wanting to win, and we're going to show up this season expecting to win and take that edge for 162 and then total it up. So I'm not in the prediction game, but I know what our attitude and our mindset and our kind of mojo is doing as a team, and that's trending in the right direction. We have to prove it to ourselves and prove it to others before we start anointing ourselves, really anything.
AJ, how will you handle the psychological portion of the clubhouse with Miguel Cabrera retiring? So sure, it sucks. And we were just with Casey Mize like 2 days ago at the players party, and we interviewed him for a while. And he's like, just when he comes in and you're laughing and it's a presence, that's not going to be there. But I also look at the positive end of, hey, this team's gone through some losing that you guys want to wash away. And who's the next guy that's going to take over the clubhouse, make people feel good, right? Make people feel comfortable. Do you have anyone in mind, or maybe multiple people that can do that? And have you had conversations with those people about how it's going to change with someone like that leaving?
Yeah, the makeup of the clubhouse is completely different because, we can't say this about too many players, but for the last, 2 decades, this guy has governed this clubhouse and being that presence and being the go-to guy. And he, one of the things that a lot of people don't openly talk about is how great players or big names shield the clubhouse from virtually everything. Like, no matter what's going on, everybody check Miggy's mood, everybody check Miggy if he's in the lineup and where his performance is. Whether you're on a good team or on a mediocre team, it kind of shifted all attention to Miguel. And then last year, every stop along the way, we got gifts, from Miggy, and there was a presentation, and there was some of them better than others, but it was fun to celebrate him all year. Well, that takes a ton of pressure off everybody, and now that's gone. So we're going to embrace it, the fact that we need to develop our own identity, because when they put up where the Tigers are playing the White Sox opening day, they can't put Miggy's picture on the preview. They can't say Miguel Cabrera and the Tigers, and it's going to be somebody different. But somebody's got to earn that. They don't need to fill Miggy's role, but they need to step up, and they're going to start having to answer the questions, or they're going to start to have to answer the responsibilities that come with player-to-player feedback, things that start winning teams start doing. And that can come pretty easily with us. Torque, breakthrough, 30-plus homers. He's got some leadership qualities. Riley Green, his vibe, his energy, everything he does, the way he prepares is awesome. Kerry Carpenter, small little presence, but big bat, 20 homers, middle of the lineup. Everybody goes to Veerling. This dude played center field in the World Series a couple of years ago, and now he's playing a little bit of center, a little bit of right, a little bit of third base for us. But he's a go-to guy when guys are struggling. But now you see a little bit why we added, a veteran guy like Canna to that mix to make sure that there are resources for these dudes, because we need our young players to be good quickly nowadays. They get raced through the minors, and they have to finish their development up in the big leagues, and that comes with a lot of coaching, and my coaches are great. Probably more importantly is the player-to-player leadership that has to evolve, and the team will pick the leader. Like I don't. I'm the manager, and I can see who has those qualities, but the players will pick who they listen to.
I like that. And by the way, Todd Father forgot to pay his internet bill. He just paid it. He did the quick pay. They're back. Kratz, I don't know if you caught this, but right before you guys left and you had texted me, you're going to ask him the next question. Hinch said he's been trying to get you on his coaching staff for years, and you're just giving him the Heisman. So what the hell?
Wow.
Me? I never got any calls from you, AJ. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we can go through the log if you want, like my phone log.
Please do.
No, we don't need to go through the log. These guys give me a hard time. Listen, AJ, I lost in the state semifinals for the high school this past year. My first year is coaching, so you don't want me in there. You're looking to win a World Series again. You want winners. That's what it is, but that's just life.
Wow.
You got him bashful there, AJ.
Hey, you caught him well there, dude. What's going on here with you?
Here's the thing, like I'm not afraid to throw a haymaker every now and then, so that was my haymaker to Kratz. And then if when he's going to text me on the side and say, "Hey man, there was no offense not coming to you," he's going to be very cool about it.
Yeah, exactly. You know him too well.
Right.
You would fit perfect there with the big dogs.
I would have loved it. Yep. And AJ knows my affinity for my family right now, and we're gonna continue to talk. But that maybe down the road we'll continue to talk about this. But my question really is, you talked all about your team. You talked all about this. What's the man in the mirror got to do? What do you have to improve at? Because you're constantly about that. You're constantly about like, hey, I got to improve other people. But anybody that I've ever been around that's worth their salt that wants to improve other people has to keep improving themselves. So what do you got to improve?
Yeah, so it's an awesome question, and you're 100% right. And we always look at what can we do more. Like someone will say, "Hey, AJ, you play the infield in more than any manager in baseball." And I'm like, "But are we good at it? Like, is it good that we play all the time in?" Or like the pinch hitting stuff. We pinch hit a ton last year, and so every year I think the manager, whether it's me or anybody else, has to adapt their managing style to the players that they have. Like someone will say, "Hey, do you like to steal bases?" And I'm like, "Well, do I have any fast dudes? Do I have enough primary leads? And do we have an opportunity to be disciplined at the plate to allow stolen bases to happen?" So I've got to read my team better, faster in the season. Like I feel really proud about how I've run the bullpen, or how I've in the starting rotation taken pitchers out, or how active we have, or how inactive we've been with our offense as the season's gone. But I take a ton of accountability for the early part of the season, the last couple of years, where we are grinding from the very beginning to try to get our heads back up so that we can take a run at the Central. And you don't have to win every single month and have a winning month every single month to win divisions in baseball, but you can lose them in any given month by just totally disappearing. And so I'm myself, my coaching staff, we got to read our team faster at what the strengths are. And that's going to come with some unknowns as I said, we're going to be a little bit young and a little bit of inexperience. My job is to push the buttons better, faster. And I think that can help our team win more games.
So it's been a few years now, and I feel like we could talk about this now. You're in Detroit. Are you happy that the White Sox really didn't go after you now that you're in Detroit?
Man, I'll tell you what, every time that we go to Chicago, like I probably was the happiest that they changed the schedule so that I only have to go twice and not 3 times, because like every time we would go to the White Sox early on, it was a ton of attention about that. And especially when Tony was there, because they had the awkward, like Tony's face, my signature. And like there were some things around Twitter that were messing around. But honestly, like I couldn't be happier in Detroit, and they have a ton of talent. I know they're going through a transition in Chicago, but when you go to a place and you start to develop relationships and you start to put your fingerprints on it, you're bringing coaches in. I now have a new boss structure with Scott Harris coming over, Jeff Greenberg as a GM. Like places start to feel like home, and that's how Detroit feels for me. And I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, but that was a weird time in my life in general, coming out of the Houston, sign stealing scandal and getting any opportunity. Man, I was really blessed and lucky to get and to have that happen, I'm like, man, I just landed in a really good spot, and I love Michigan summers. I love being a Tiger, and I don't have any angst against the White Sox, but I get some free angst because they're in the AL Central, and I want to beat them.
That's fair. What do you, since, I guess I'm biased. I think you're one of the best managers in the game. What do you look at Counsell's situation? How also another guy that I have a lot of respect for and think is one of the best managers in the game. Also, I can have two people who are best managers in the game, but his whole situation.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that, and also for Counts, man, like congratulations to him, and that was a unique situation, and you get mixed emotions on all these jobs. They're hard jobs to get, they're hard jobs to keep. I feel for David Ross because another good friend of mine who was busting his tail as the manager. I got to catch up with him a little bit last year. We played him. There's a lot that goes into getting these jobs, and then on top of that, when somebody gets a mega deal like that, like if you're willing to get to free agency and you have some things line up, similar to a player, it can explode, obviously. So kudos to him for the deal. David Ross is going to get whatever job he wants moving forward. I hate how emotional that gets at the end. I know everybody's handling it the best they can, but I'm proud of Counts for standing up for the managers. In that, I remember when I first broke in, I just finished my 10th year managing. I feel like an old dude now, but you were, getting paid by much different than we're getting paid now. So it's very unique to have someone go out and be that public with his pursuit. But he's trying to stand up for a lot of people, and hopefully that triggers some bigger investment in managers.
I like that. Free agency is still fine. Players getting paid nicely. So Eduardo Rodriguez is going to get some cash. He opts out. I don't think anyone is surprised about that coming off the season that he just had. Can you describe what it was like to have him throughout this process? And I know he went through some stuff off the field, got himself back on track this past season. And also, if you can, mix in what went down with the opt-out there, because it's twofold. Now that he opts out, you're like, damn, it would be nice to get some guys for him when you weren't in the playoff race at that point. So were you surprised that he said no to the Dodgers?
Not really, because I think when players put clauses in contracts like that, they're there for a reason, and players can exercise them whenever those situations come up. And I think every player should stand up for themselves. I think every player should get what they ultimately want, and I think players should play where they want to play. Sometimes you have to, that not all those things combine, right? Sometimes you don't get the most money in the place you want to play, so you have a real dilemma on your hands. Other times it works out perfectly. So I was close with Eduardo. I'll stay close with Eduardo. We went through a lot of life things together, and I was just a sounding board for him. As a manager, I get close to my players. I'm there for him. He confided a lot of stuff in me, so I know a lot about what makes him tick and why he's doing what he's doing. And even all the way to the finish line, like he was very open with me on what he was hoping going to happen, and then ultimately he opted out. So I think he's a really terrific pitcher when he gets ahead of hitters. When he's really good at pumping fastballs and cutters in there and getting guys into swing mode, and he can get some really quick outs. And I loved having him on the mound. We felt like we were going to win every game that he pitched. Obviously, he missed a lot of time. Personal reasons the first year, and the finger injury in the second year. But as a manager, you want two things out of your starting pitcher. Number one, you want reliability, and you want somebody to get as many outs as they can to leave you a smaller number of outs that you got to bestow on other people. He did both those for us. So I loved having him pitch every 5 days.
Prediction time. Do you know how many wins you have in your career?
No.
791 wins. Do you get your 1,000th career win as a manager as a Tiger?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Love to hear that.
That's awesome.
To me, I think that just how confident you say that, it doesn't mean, oh yeah, World Series this year or all that stuff. Right. It just means like a continuity for your players, for the front office, for the fan base. All that stuff matters in a time when all we talk about every day is who's going to go here, who's going to go there. Yeah. Oh, we want this person, we want that person. And the Tigers have a solid rock at their manager position. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm lucky to be here. I also love what I do. I love who I work with. The player banter is real. You're talking about Casey Mize. Like, I hope you guys asked him about Auburn football because I know I did.
Oh, yeah.
After they blew it. So these jobs are incredible when you can get the ball rolling a little bit. You start getting the right people around you. Get the right culture. Everybody throws that word culture around, but when you get that right feel, like you guys have all walked in clubhouses and been like, not great. We are the opposite, and I think that's a good, stable, baseline for what's ahead for this organization.
Last one for me, real quick. So, you Michigan or Michigan State fan, football wise now?
Man, you are this. So you're going to get me hated by half the team.
Well, you can. Hey, you just go with
no comment.
You could say no comment.
So I'm not going to no comment. You kidding me? I'll give you a good comment. So my first day on the job as a Tigers manager 3 years ago was Michigan State Day, and they asked me that, like, hey, who's going to win? Now, I did no comment that day because I'm like, you guys might not like me yet. You at least got to get in front of you a little bit. We are Go Blue on our staff because of Chris Fetter and Michael Bedard, 2 ex-Michigan alums, both coached there, both played there. They love their life. So I'm pro Harbaugh. I'm pro Michigan. That doesn't make me anti-Spartan. Like Michigan State, we still love you when you come to Tiger games, but we're rooting for Michigan this weekend.
There you go. And just so you know, Mize was with us, and of course, Przynski's our college football guy, and he said he was watching them win on the plane and then lose, and he said there's Bama fans behind him cheering. It was a disaster. He said, like, worst day of his life. So you can get all over him for that. I think the text to
me was, "I'm broken."
Yeah, he seemed broken too, and he lost all his poker chips wherever he was playing too. I mean, it was for fun. It was a charity event, but all right. So last one here. I want to run this because Jason Benetti's the new Tigers broadcaster. And what he said about the city of Detroit, I thought really resonated. I'm sure you saw it. We just have a little clip of it that we'll show everyone and then get your thoughts before we go. So here it is.
People think I can't do stuff. And from a distance, again, gross generalization alarm going off, but from a distance, I think that's how Detroit gets treated. I think quite often, Detroit is not known for its passionate fans or what it's done for the music industry. I think people reduce Detroit to a couple of statistics. And I don't like seeing people and the whole place get reduced to anything. And I know how much people care. And I know like how much people here want to just matter and be seen for what they are and not some overgeneralization. So to me, as I've thought about this, like that is where we link up. And that is why, they'll make the decision on me. Like, I can't say we're going to be the best of friends right away because that's super presumptuous of me.
So, AJ, what did you think when you saw that, him specifically on the city?
Amazing. I mean, amazing feel for the city. Tremendous confidence in being vulnerable. Like, I mean, Benetti's like a star, and he's a star because he's an unbelievable human. He connects well with a lot of different people. I mean, I was a visiting manager. He always came in and told me stories and talked to me a little bit and gathered information on our team. And now I get to work side by side with him. I got to sit down and have dinner with him on the front end of him getting hired as he was learning our organization. And man, I'm thrilled. Like, he's such a good person to represent the Tigers and represent our broadcast. And ultimately, when he's vulnerable like that, like, can any of us really not, kind of fall in love with his story and his grind and his ability to do his job at the top shelf level, despite all the challenges that he's had to overcome? Man, I'm all for Team Benetti.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. AJ, thank you so much for joining us, dude. Enjoy the holidays and the winter meetings bonanza, and good luck on all the signings and trades that go down here for the ball club. And thanks for joining us, man.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Cheers. AJ Hinch, Detroit Tigers manager, with us on FT Live. That was awesome. Good stuff. And Kenny ballgame coming up in about a minute too. So yeah, Benetti nailed it on that. That was really cool, the way that he kind of tied in his experience with the city of Detroit and all of that. So,
He's,
and also,
he's one of those dudes, man. He'll sit down and have a drink with you and hang out, and he'll just shoot and shop. He's smart. He does basketball. He does it all. We talk about every single sport. He's that dude.
Everybody in this business, from announcers to players to managers to coaches, trainers, all that stuff. People who make a difference and the guys you really like connect with are not necessarily the superstar big name people. It's the people that make the connections with you, the personal connections, and can talk to you. So that's why I loved everything he said there. That was awesome, heartfelt and honest.
Yeah. And going to dinner right off the jump with the manager for both sides just makes a ton of sense. Give me the lowdown. What's going on here? I've been on the other side of this. Now I want to know what's happening. What should I know that I should be able to talk about on the air, and the context that you get with some stories that you maybe can't share, but that at least helps you guide the broadcast in the right direction in terms of giving people a little bit of like a sense of what's going on with the team is important too. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. Absolutely. And I want to make sure with AJ that we talk about my one tree ornament fiasco after Ken's on.
What?
That'll be my slap hand story.
Oh, okay. We need a foul territory ornament.
A foul territory ornament? I'll throw one of your Reds jerseys on the tree.
Well, you threw all my stuff out today.
You did.
We got Ken coming up in this episode, so any questions that people have, let us know.
Yeah, so once we get Kenny Ball game in here, that's when we're going to talk about the Ohtani stuff. Big dog. That's what I can't wait for.
Oh yeah, Ken's going to have all the best stuff for us for the Ohtani stuff. I want to get into how we're going to talk about the Rangers Guardians like TV stuff. It's so intriguing to me, the business side of what goes on with teams losing their TV contracts, with teams like when you start throwing numbers around, you're like, wait a minute. It's kind of like Scotty always says, man, like the teams have the cash. They have the cash. But this year, without the TV deals, I'm wondering, do they have the cash? What's the next thing? Like it's.
You want to know something? I'll tell you a quick story. When I was with the Mets before we get Kenny on here, first year I was with them, I was feeling froggy. I'm like, listen, I don't know what was going on. I'm like, hey, we had a meeting with one of the top guys who, he's like, come on down. We're going to need you guys' help, to make some money, this and that. Look, any questions? I raised my hand. I said, how much for it to get like a sponsor on the, on the Jumbotron or in the outfield wall or, on the big back screens?
You asked who? The front office?
Yeah, one of the front office guys. He's like, and he gave me like, I'm like, I'm just curious, ballpark range. And like, well, to get those signs, he's looking around. He's like, some of the big ones or some of the small ones go for like $250, and some of them go for like $25 million. I'm like, oh damn. I'm like, so wait, you're at the end of the day, you're taking home, 150, 200 mil just on signs alone in the outfield. I'm like, you guys they got money. I'm like, bro, it was pretty funny. I had the cojones to ask that, and everybody's like thinking like, damn, man, I should have got more money, man. Why did I get screwed?
You were sitting pretty with your contract.
Oh,
so
man.
You were fine asking that question.
No, I was still upset what I got, so that's probably why I asked. And everybody was in there too. I was like, well, let's go practice in spring training.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into that then right now. So time for a little inside dish presented by Candy Digital. Let's get our 15 minutes with Kenny Ball game. Ken Rosenthal joining us right now, right before winter meetings action gets going. So Ken, let's actually start there. You wrote recently about the payroll situation and how TV contracts can affect the Rangers and the Guardians. So how do you see their off seasons playing out?
In Texas after what I wrote, and he admitted on the record that yes, they are in a little bit of an uncertain place because of what is going on with Bally's and the potential termination of their local TV rights deal. So they're not going to be spending another $400 million this offseason. They'll do some things to improve, but the way I understand it, they're trying to get clarity. Now, we already have seen with the Guardians, they let Cal Quantrill go essentially, well, at least in part, because of their financial situation. He was projected to make $6.6 million in arbitration. They decided that was too much. the television angle influenced that decision. So there is some things going on with regard to this. Now, there are other people in the game who say, no, these teams have plenty of money regardless. But while they do have plenty of money, all of them, if you're having an uncertain situation with $100 million of your revenue, as the Rangers are, you can certainly understand why they might be a little bit more reticent, I should say, than they normally would be.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of money. There's nobody's denying that 111 million is a lot of money, but it's also relative. Who does this affect more? The TV rights, the debacle, uncertainty, the 50, I think, what did you say, 55 million possibly for the Guardians that they made last year and 111 million. It's all relative. Who does it affect more when going to build their team?
I would say the Guardians. And certainly the Rangers are coming off a World Series title. They can count on a boost in revenue that always accompanies a championship. Teams that win do better the next year. The season tickets go up. Other things go up. It's just a good, healthy thing when you win a World Series. No one can deny that. The Guardians are not in that same position. They're also in a much smaller market than the Rangers are. So I would expect it has a more chilling effect on them than it would the Rangers.
Okay, so on the topic of money here, Ken, you wrote about Shohei Ohtani's impact in terms of money, marketing, etc., to a ball club as we're getting closer, hopefully, to figuring out where he's going to go and how much money he is going to command. Can you give us more context on what that impact is going to be like for one lucky team?
Well, it depends on the market, Scott, obviously, and certainly he'll mean different things to different places. But the gist of what I wrote is that it's not just a baseball decision with Shohei Ohtani. It's not simply saying, well, we project his WAR to be this, this, and this, and we're going to pay him accordingly. No, there's more to it. He is a cultural phenomenon of sorts. He is the biggest thing in baseball, a transcendent figure in the sport. So with that comes ancillary income from Japan, from a variety of places. Somebody mentioned to me today, a team that doesn't have a uniform patch yet, a deal for a uniform patch, you get Shohei Ohtani, suddenly that deal will look a lot better when you finally strike it. So in all of these different areas, direct-to-consumer broadcasting, that we're seemingly are going toward that model, this cat can sell subscriptions on his own. So he is that guy in terms of someone who means maybe as much to your business as he does to your baseball team. Obviously, they're intertwined. We all know that. But he, unlike your average free agent, let's just take Aaron Nola as an example. Aaron Nola, you're signing for baseball reasons. Baseball reasons almost exclusively. Shohei Ohtani, it gets a lot bigger, and that's why the money is going to be so much bigger.
Let me ask you this. It seems like both New York teams are out of discussions and talking about Ohtani. Is there a reason why? I mean, do you think that's the right move? At least what we're hearing is the Mets don't want to be part of it.
Right. Jeff Passan reported that today, and obviously he's a great reporter. I have not heard that myself. I will believe any team is out, or I will not believe any team is fully out until he signs. And that's just the nature of free agency. We get surprised all the time. Not saying Jeff is wrong by any stretch of the imagination, but things do happen. And the Mets, it's not a natural fit necessarily, but for a team that claims to be building for 2025 and beyond, it does make some sense because he will start pitching again, hopefully, in 2025. And also, as I wrote today, Steve Cohen's trying to develop this entertainment megaplex at the site of Citi Field right next to it. All of these things kind of work hand in hand, the business and the baseball. So I would imagine that they're at least exploring it or have at least explored it. Maybe they're onto other things. Maybe their sole focus is Yamamoto. They certainly want him. He certainly fits as well because of his youth with their rebuilding plans, or building plans, I should say, going forward. The Yankees, I'm not sure why they wouldn't be all out for this guy. He would be a monster in that stadium. But at the same time, they could trade for Juan Soto. They can sign another pitcher. They can do some things otherwise to address their outfield in particular that they feel or may feel is more important to them. The Yankees are an interesting operation right now. We don't know what they're going to do. It seems that they should be poised to spend and spend big. But they do have some big commitments on the books already. And Hal Steinbrenner has not been someone who has spent freely over the years. They've spent selectively. They've spent on Garrett Cole. They acquired Giancarlo Stanton. They gave Judge the big deal. Are they going to have a big offseason the way they did in 2009, 2013? Remains to be seen.
You are helping to paint the picture that I've been trying to tell everybody, so I appreciate the help. But you just said about how you could circle everything around Shohei Ohtani. You need a huge market. You have the business end of it. You need him to go to a team that has possibly, they're pretty good on pitching right now. Anybody can always use more pitching. So tell me why I'm wrong that the Blue Jays wouldn't be World Series contenders if they sign him.
You're not wrong. And
he is wrong.
That team.
Stop.
Oh, the one thing I'll say about that team, Todd, in support of what you're saying, they have yet to prove that they are capable of getting over the hump, so to speak. They're extremely talented, great rotation for sure, but they're kind of, as I wrote late in the season, paper tigers. So Ohtani would help them in that regard. Obviously, he's going to help any team that he joins. And, man, he'd make their rotation even better in 25, assuming he comes back without any problem. But for me, the Blue Jays make sense in a ton of ways. It's just a matter, guys, we have to keep this in mind. What does Shohei Ohtani want? That's the only thing that matters here. Because in my mind, and I wrote this today, if Ohtani says, I want Team X, a team could be the Giants, the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, the Cubs, any team you can name. If he goes to that team and says, I want to play for you, do you really think they're not going to come up with the money? So it's his choice. He's going to get the money wherever he goes. It's just a matter, in my view, of where he wants to play. And that ultimately is going to drive this.
I don't mean to keep beating a dead horse here, but you both said World Series. Now, let me ask you this. If he goes to the Blue Jays, is that your team to pick to win the World Series?
No, I don't know that I would go that far. But
thank you.
He just called them paper tigers.
It would help.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm just saying. He said they could be World Series bound.
For sure. Todd, I mean, I don't care what team he goes to. I'm not going to pick them to win the World Series on the basis of that. It's just too difficult to do that. So many things can happen over the course of the season. So many things can happen in September leading to the postseason. And so many things can happen in October during the postseason. Arizona Diamondbacks, who had them at this time last year? I don't think anybody did. I'm not sure how many people had the Texas Rangers. So you get Shohei Ohtani to win, yes. You get him also to elevate the aura of your brand and make your team that much bigger in the national spotlight, maybe even the world spotlight.
Okay, so Ken, let's try and clear up some rumors on Dylan Cease and the possibility of him being traded and when, because there were reports out recently like, oh, it could happen really soon. And then you put out there that you think that some of the starting pitching could go, and then Chris Getz could say, okay, who wants me? Who needs me now? So is that how you see it playing out?
Well, I reported what I heard, which is that Chris Getz is telling teams that he most likely will wait until the bigger pitching names, Yamamoto, Snell, etc., go off the board. At that point, teams' appetites will be further whetted. The ones who missed out, the ones who are interested now are still going to be there. And a number of teams need multiple starting pitchers, so it's not out of the question someone could sign Snell or Yamamoto and then trade for Cease as well. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to do that. If a team pushes him at the winter meetings, for instance, and says, we want to do this, this, and this for Dylan Cease, it's a great deal, take it or leave it. If it's a great deal in Chris Getz's eyes, maybe he does take it. These things are always fluid. There's never a set timeline, a certain timeline. But what I reported is what I heard. What Getz is telling teams, that seems to be his preference, but a guy's preference, a GM's preference can always change.
Who of the two teams that I feel like should be in on him have the most to lose by not overpaying for Dylan Cease? Essentially moving fastest, Reds or the Orioles?
The most to lose by not getting him? Is that what you're asking
Yeah,
about?
basically, yeah. Being done with it, being nobody to dance with when all the chips have fallen and there's no Dylan Cease anymore. Who has the most to lose?
Well, Dylan Cease is in many ways the most attractive guy available in trade from a starting pitching standpoint. Why? 2 years of control. Glasnow is one, and Burns is one. It's a different scenario with those kinds of pitchers. Cease, with the 2 years of control and the second place Cy Young finish and the youth relative to other pitchers, he is the belle of the ball from a trade standpoint. As for who has the most to lose, in my view, both those teams do, because they're not going to be most likely at the top of the market for Blake Snell or Yamamoto. It's reasonable to say that. So their best chance of getting an ace-like pitcher is going the trade route, and Cease is your best option in that market. The Orioles have a ton of position players in the minor leagues, good prospects that they can move, a ton of them. They, in fact, probably should at this point try to consolidate and pair off some of those guys to get a better single player or one who is more established. The Reds are somewhat of a similar position. They're very deep in young talent as well. They have guys that they can move. So I don't know how this is going to play out, and I'm not even sure either one of those teams ultimately is going to get Dylan Cease. But what I would agree with you on, Erik, is that both those teams need him, or at least someone like him, because they're not going to be paying $150 million for Snell if that's what it takes, or $200+ million for Yamamoto if that's what it takes. That's not where they're going to be.
Last topic for me, Soto. I want to talk about the big guy here. He's been in a lot of talks. I guess the police are coming for you right now. You can hear them in the background. Hey, they're looking for info. They're looking for info. Hey, so he's been in talks with the Yankees. He's been in talk with a couple teams. What have you heard recently on him? And where do you see him likely landing?
I don't know. I do know the Padres are going to ask a lot, and they should ask a lot, but they're not going to get what they traded to Washington for Juan Soto when he had 2+ years of control versus 1 year and at a price of about $32-33 million in arbitration. So you're trading for that salary. You're taking on a lot. And, of course, because he's represented by Scott Boras, you most likely are not going to sign him to an extension. Remember, he's already turned down $440 million. So here's a player that we all keep hearing about connected to the Yankees. But are there other teams that could use Juan Soto? Oh, I would suggest that there are. Chicago Cubs, Toronto Blue Jays, Seattle Mariners. I can go on and on. This is one of the premier left-handed hitters in the game. Kind of a generational player in his own way, though his defense and base running, not what it was in the past last season. I'm not sure where he's going to go. I strongly believe he is going to go. It's just a matter of when and where.
So last follow-up here, Ken, on Soto. Do you anticipate this could be one that gets done more on the near side? Like I see two angles here. One is team misses out on a Bellinger or an Ohtani, and they're like, I need a splash. I need a big-time bat in my lineup to make an impact. And the Padres maybe get a little more there. But also, San Diego has to figure out what they're doing. So they have to get that money off the books, I would assume, so they can make some ads.
Timing is always difficult to predict, Scott. As I mentioned earlier, it would seem to me that if I were the Padres, I would want Ohtani off the board and have his suitors that lost out on tilt. Teams that become increasingly more desperate might not be the right word, but motivated would be a better word once they lose out on a big player. I didn't mention the Giants with Juan Soto. I don't know that he would go in the division, especially with Bob Melvin there. It's another team that can use him. But certainly, once Ohtani goes off the board, then all of the teams that were on him, and that goes for even the ones that supposedly are no longer in the mix, they are going to pursue other avenues. And they obviously are operating in a zero-sum world. Whoever gets one player, that other team doesn't get the player. And eventually, you run out of good players. So it will increase, in my view, the urgency for those teams. And the way I see it, Scott, you're right. It's best to wait if you're the Padres for Ohtani to sign. But again, if they got the right deal tomorrow, which I'm saying they will, then they would act.
Yep. Okay. Good stuff. Ken, appreciate the time. Safe travels to Nashville. And hopefully you've got the Wi-Fi running on the flight.
Yeah, hopefully. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ken. Talk to you soon. Ken Rosenthal, FT Senior Insider, with us for some Inside Dish. brought to you by Candy Digital. Get your free MLB team packs at go.candy.com/pack. And also, Todd Father, look out for some special digital collectible highlights of your own. Not yet, but I've been told within a week we got a little special thing to show to the crowd that they're making. They're cooking up just for you. So stay tuned on that front.
Baby.
Yeah, one of ones in the digital wallet for you. Okay,
for Todd
we'll blast them out. You know what? I'll put you on that email, Kratz, because maybe we could get a little Kratz action going too. I'm going to write it down right now and ask for you. Okay.
They don't have any AAA. They don't have any AAA cards yet.
What about the opening day Astros trip?
In a digital form.
I think it'd be great. Just saying. Let's lap. So we didn't get to this earlier. I don't think it's a ton of time to spend on it, but the Marlins reshaping their front office continues. So the Kim Ng situation, in my mind, was a disaster. If you look it up on FT on our YouTube channel, you can see plenty of great coverage on it because no one else talked about it. And it's still super weird to me how that all resulted. But they did hire Peter Bendix, who was a highly regarded executive with the Tampa Bay Rays. He takes over as president of baseball operations. And then, as Ken confirmed this morning, the report from Craig Mish, the Marlins are hiring former manager of the San Francisco Giants, Gabe Kapler, as their assistant general manager. The team was intrigued by his success in player development during his time as the farm director for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So, Kratz, Cap in Miami.
It's like a match made in heaven. It's like,
come on, he's going to love it.
He might not even show up. If he's hanging out in Miami, he might not even show up at the field. He's just gonna be like, gym, tan, done. It's gonna be just
gym, tan, and Marlins laundry room, which has good Wi-Fi, which we learned.
That is tremendous. I love that. I hate to sit there and go, okay, like you got rid of Kim Ng and then you brought in Kapler. He's going to be the assistant GM, but he's going to be focusing on minor league stuff. Like to me, and Skip has nothing to worry about. I just hope that they said, hey, you know what? This has nothing to do with you, Skip. We are not bringing in the future manager. Like something needs to be said. Because
you think he's looking behind his back because Cap's there?
I don't think Skip is. I don't think Skip is, but I think the respect factor because of the fact that they did the same thing to Kim Ng, who was doing a great job, and they basically went behind her back and stabbed her in the back and was like, you did great. Let me take this knife out of your back because we're getting somebody to be over top of you. It might just be the optics, and I might be looking out for my guy.
No, you're 100% right.
But something needs to be said because that's bull if they're bringing in someone else. But hey, you know what? All the other 29 teams need to be like, hey, we'll take Skip.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%, dude. It's kind of, it's an odd way of bringing somebody over. I don't know. I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying it's odd knowing he's a younger guy. He's been a manager, and you got Skip Schumacher there. He's coach of the year in the National League. So it's like, I don't understand. I don't think
that's going to happen.
No, I don't know. I don't think it is either.
He's a star. He's good.
Yeah, but still, he's around. He's around. You know what I mean? So
I'm saying Skip's a star. Like he just won Manager of the Year. He brought a team that shouldn't have made the playoffs into the playoffs. They lost some pitching at the end of the buzzer there. So I think he's okay. Plus, like you said, Kratz, for some reason, if something happens and he was a free agent and he's going, what did Council get?
He's okay when he's not okay though.
It's for me, that was the red flag for me that if I'm the Marlins and I'm trying to resolve what just happened, I'm not making the same mistake again and just like absolutely like derailing another guy and the confidence that we have in those guys. So it's one of those things that, just it popped up for me, but hopefully he can get, because this team needs to be built by the player development. Player development needs to be because they are not going to – they get like $3 to $4 to spend in the offseason, and they're in desperate need of it. So maybe it's a good move for them that they can actually build up a farm system, which back in the day created Giancarlo Stanton, Christian Yelich, Marcell Ozuna, Fernandez, JT Realmuto.
Plenty, yeah.
Like, they had dudes from that system, and they need to do that again.
You're right. Good call. What do you got? What do you got on? Are you doing Kratz hats today?
Kratz? Yeah. Well, when I got here, it was
Kratz winter hats.
It was like 6 degrees in here, and now we're sweating. It's a sauna. So I got the Kratz hats. You can buy it at no, it's the it's our Doc Mennonite Academy. It's a school that I coach at. It's the beanie hats, which if anybody knows in the Northeast, it's pretty much about a month and a half, first month and a half of the season. The coaches are going to rock these Johns. Kids, no, kids have to keep wearing regular hats. But this is my nice Doc coach's hat.
I like it. And I'm going to do a little plug, and then we got one more thing too that we're going to show you. But because I don't do this very often, but if you're listening to the pod, maybe a rating and review. I almost never say it. Not, many pods will do that every beginning and end. I don't want to overdo it, but also if you're on the YouTube channel right now, a little like, a little subscribe if you're new to the party, or if you want to backtrack and later on you're like, okay, I forgot I'm not subscribing. We appreciate that. Yeah. Stephen Vogt, A.J. Hinch, and Ken Rosenthal on a Friday for you. And a lot of Ohtani real talk in terms of what he's actually going to get, where he's actually going to go, or at least what we think. It's all there for you. So, and let's finish strong with this from the Pedro Gomez Foundation. And I'm sure most of you know the work. I'm saying the watchers and listeners right now that Pedro Gomez contributed to our great game, and he has gone way too soon. There's a golf tournament and auction on December 2nd, and it is tomorrow. That's Saturday at the Whirlwind Golf Club in Chandler, Arizona. Ken was good friends with Pedro as well, so this is near and dear to his heart. He's been talking about it on Fair Territory, but you can see some of the auction items that are included. Heat season tickets.
Wow.
Regular season tickets. Oops. Regular season tickets. 4 Red Sox box seats at Fenway, a 4-night stay at a condo in Telluride, Colorado. So there's really good stuff there. And obviously, if you wanted to be there, last chance too to see if you can show up and be involved. But it's going to be a great event this weekend. So make sure you check that out. And that was Good Friday. Coming up on Monday next week, it's freaking winter meetings action, okay? And for all of you asking, no, we're not going to be there. I'm sorry. We don't get to interview the vanilla general manager for 5 seconds who's going to say, we're weighing all of our options right now. But we will be right here in our studios, locked in on coverage, hours of coverage of winter meetings, signings, and trades, if they happen, which you would imagine that they do, because barely anybody has signed so far. So, guys, get some rest. We got a lot of shit to break down next week, all right?
Thanks, brother. We made it.
You made it.
You survived. You survived, babysitter. Get it.
Granny boy, what are you doing, kid?